Welcome everyone to my new creative series where we are going to be building our first ever mega base. So as a bit of context, I've never actually built a mega base. If you take a look through the channel, you can pretty much see everything I've ever built, nearly, and I've never gone close to building something I guess you could consider to be mega. I think the biggest thing we built was probably this building over here that I then put into my survival world, which is pretty big. It's pretty cozy, but it's nowhere near a mega base. So I've been periodically watching some videos from big creators like Grian and B-Dubs and I think Flip and Smallish Beans and Mr. Marlowe. So I've kind of got an idea of what steps to take to actually build it, but we won't be following a specific procedure. It might be a bit all willy-nilly. So there's no real plan for this series. I've kind of just started it off the cuff. I figured it might be interesting to just join me as I figure all this out. And for those of you who follow the Land of Wanderers series, this may or may not be spoilers. That's to be determined. So I've not really looked up any concept art for this. I kind of semi-see it in my head already. So I'm kind of visualizing like 3 or 4 towers with a centerpiece in the middle. Kind of like a classic castle, but with, I guess, a different little twist. My twist. The best way I could describe it from now is a mix between futuristic builds with curvy towers, but with a meaner block palette. Like, it's not going to be white concrete. So step 1 for me right now would be to get some shapes down, and I'm going to start with my tower design. And we're done. Just kidding. This is 40 blocks high, and I'm thinking that should be high enough for the tower. To me anyways, that seems pretty mega. So the way I'm seeing this is, instead of having a straight tower like that thing over there, we kind of have it, let's say this is the front of the build, where it kind of slopes in here, goes up straight here, and then slopes back out and kind of peak. Kind of like an oval. So what I'm going to do is, on my phone, I found an oval generator for pixel art. So I'm going to use that to try to generate a kind of oval shape that I like, and translate that over onto that tower over there. Alright, so as you saw in the time lapse, this is what we came up with, and I smoothed out the edges here for now with just some stairs. Like, when we get actually to building the full structure, we can add some trapdoors to smooth out even more. But I'm not too used to working on this scale, but I think I like this shape, and I think it's quite big enough. It might not be the mega-ist of mega builds, but we're gonna start somewhere. So I think this is nice enough for now. We might end up scrapping it. As I mentioned, I'm not used to this, but that should be fine for now. Now we have to figure out how to actually turn this into a complete shape, a complete tower. I'm gonna go around with my wool in hand and see what I can make out of this shape. Quick little update. So I've gone ahead and done the front and the other side, and so far this is kind of like the silhouette of the build. This is the frame, and I quite like where this is heading, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and finish up all the sides, and we can take a look afterwards and see if we like the result. Alright, so here's our outline all done. Let's take a look around from all the sides. I think I like this. I think it's quite cool. Let's take a look from the front. Let's see, we're coming towards the base, and that's the tower you see on the right hand side. And I think it's kind of like what I was going for. You kind of see how it like just slopes off on either side. You probably saw it in time lapse, but this is the shape we're going with. Kind of wonky. This here I'm not sold on. I might just make it diagonal across. I'm not sure, but I think this kind of shape fits more with the look I'm going for. On all the corners, I want to make this slope up to meet pretty much right here. Alright, welcome back. So here is what I've got done so far. I've managed to kind of curve in the side here, like so. And if we view it from over here, I think it flows quite nicely. And I'm not too sure about here yet. I think I like what I've come up with for now. I think it kind of follows the wall shape quite nicely. And I've gone ahead and kind of, I guess, semi came up with like a pattern here for how I want it to look. But I'm open to changing this. I suppose next up would be to figure out what I want to do with the top over here. I'm not quite sure. I don't want to keep it this flat, but I'm not quite sure what I want to do with the top, so I'll have a think about that. Maybe look up some concept art on Pinterest or something, and come back when I have an idea. Although from down here, keeping it flat does kind of look cool. I'm not sure, because if I bring it up, I feel like it might take away from the shape like of the oval exterior that we were going for, unless I bring it back in. Alright, so I think I just bulked this up by 1, so let's say you're on top here, you can like peek over and see. And this way it doesn't kind of remove too much from the slope that we have going on there. And for as what the shape over here will be like when we actually get to building the tower, I think if I go ahead and design that now, we might be like skipping a few steps. So I think we'll just keep this as our general shape, and we'll focus on like the shapes in here more so in another step, I think. Alright, so you get to see my shaderless face. I've just installed Lightmatica, and as you can see, made a mess of the world while trying to figure it out, but I think I've got a handle on at least making a schematic and pasting it in the world. So what I think I'm going to do is take some of these schematics and of this tower here, go somewhere that way I guess, and try to plot out how I want them kind of, not displayed, but I'm going to figure out the layout. Alright, so this is what we've come up with. Ignore that one over there. That one didn't happen. Doesn't exist. So I've got 4 here on all the corners, and a kind of like half or third of a tower in the center here. I actually built this just after the last clip we recorded. For me in real life, it's been a few days, and I've kind of had to think about what I want to do here. I've sketched up a few drawings, scrapped them because they weren't really good. But with that, I've kind of filtered out what I actually want to do. And I think now what I'm going to try to do is make the shapes here in Minecraft to show you guys. So I'm thinking in the center here, we have some free space to kind of imply some magic that is holding up the main edifice right here in the center. That's going to be kind of like, not quite a sphere, more cone based in shape. I'm thinking of taking the towers and on either corner, kind of connecting them up to the main building, kind of as a support, but without having like a big wall. I might have a wall, but I'm not sure yet. Also, what I've kind of been thinking about is the bottom of the towers. I'm unsure because I like them the way they are. It could be cool to have all of these here kind of just coming out of the water, kind of like how that is right there. But we could also have a big platform on the water and keep the base of each tower as they are. So for now, I won't alter it, but I'll be keeping that in mind. So with my red wool here, we're going to go to the center of this central tower and kind of just figure out how tall we want the building to be. So from down here, that's how tall that looks. That might be good. I think we'll go a bit taller. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. That's pretty good. Much higher than that, and I think I might get discouraged. Alright, so next up, I'm going to go and with the same red wool, we'll take out the part of the bottom here and kind of divide this up into 2 parts. It's not going to be equal. You'll see what I'm getting at. Alright, so here's an update. We have all 4 sides on the bottom half done. I think I like the shape. We might like smooth it out and add some things with more progress done, but generally the shape, I'm happy with it. So next up, I'll do the same for the top half. On each side, we'll connect that to the top right there. Then once that's done and I'm satisfied with those, then we'll see about actually connecting them from like corner to corner. Alright, we've done that. What you think? So I've gone ahead and copied it to all 4 sides, and like you saw in the time lapse, I've also gone ahead and made the top of it a bit more pointy, a bit peakier, so that it just fits my vision a bit more. And now next up would be to figure out how to connect all the sides. I don't want to make a circle. So like from here, like I could just make a circle with this, but I don't want it to be totally circular. I kind of want it to be like a bit more clear where each side starts and ends. So kind of like an oval, but a bit more jagged, a bit pointy on either side. So I think I'll just get to figuring that out, and I'll show you once that's done, and it'll be a bit more clear. All right, so I think this is actually the shape I was going for. So what I did to make it a bit easier is I actually made a quarter of a circle to have like a reference and shortened either side to kind of make it a bit sharper. So I don't know if it's clear what I'm going for, but I don't want it to be perfectly round. So I'll go ahead and copy this on either side and come back to you guys right after. All right, so hopefully it's a bit clearer now. So it's clearly round, but you can kind of see that each side is distinct. When this is all built up, we should be able to clearly see that it has 4 sides despite being round in nature. Let's head down there and see what it looks like. All right, I think this is gonna be pretty cool. So in hindsight, I realized that filling this in, though it looks cool, might have been like kind of skipping a step. I will be confident that I can fill this in and make it curve. If I could do it here, I can do it there, and I should be able to do it there. So I won't do it right now because I feel like that's actually skipping some steps, and there'll be a lot of blocks to remove later when I want to actually put the real blocks in. But I think this is pretty cool. Maybe to continue with the shapes for this video at least, I could think... I'm debating on whether we have it floating with magic or if we connect it. I think I still want to connect the pillars up, the towers here, to the center building somewhat anyway. So I think I'll do that. I'll think about how I'm going to do it anyways, and maybe we'll call it there. Alright, so after a bunch of tweaking, this is what I've come up with, and this is probably the first part that I've done that I'm not quite sure of. I'm not sure if I prefer having this just floating and explain it with magic, or have it kind of floating but kind of supported. So this is the shape that I've come up with that I think is the most satisfying to me right now. I had it a bit lower, but it looked kind of weird, so I bumped it up here. This might be a problem for future me, but I'm debating on whether we have this just be like kind of like just some sort of shape supporting it. It could be a walkway from the main building to the tower. Could be like just a big chain or something. We'll see, but I think I like it. I think it's cool. And let's say we go over here, and we'll have to use our imaginations a little bit. But let's say we're on this floor here, and I could kind of imagine this being like a kind of bridge or walkway to head up to the tower over there. Might be a bit odd, but I think it could be cool. So with that said, I will go ahead and copy this on the 3 other sides, and we'll take a look at what that looks like. All right, so I was building up the second section, and we've run into a bit of an issue. So if you look over here, this is the first one I've done, and the last part here ends up just beside where this part comes. Over here, it lines up like directly with it, in line with it. It should end up here. And if we look up here on the first section, we'll call it a bridge for now, lines up diagonally with this part here on both sides. And over here, you can probably see me coming, it's 1 over to the right and the left respectively. But if I were to move it all 1 on the inside and line this up, it would end up here, which if you look over here, that wouldn't work. They wouldn't be the same. So somewhere along the line, I messed up by 1 block. But I don't think it's worth moving everything because you can barely tell and it still looks cool. So we'll leave it as is. I just wanted to show you guys, and I won't tell anyone if you don't. Alright, I take back what I just said. I found the problem, so I won't bother counting because I'm pretty sure of the solution. Basically, when I pasted these 2 towers, I must have miscounted then, and they're too far that way by exactly 1 block. Because if I connected this one over here, and you can see that it just lines up here, and this lineup is actually kind of awkward, I think. Like from here, this does look a bit crooked. So since this is just the planning process, it doesn't really matter. We'll just take note of it, and I won't do that one since we know it'll line up weird. But when we do actually build this, if we end up building this in survival, then we'll bring in one. And actually what I'm thinking of doing is getting the shapes done, and then keeping this here, making a schematic of it all and copying it over. So when we actually copy it over to the new location where we'll have like the version 2.0 of it with whatever the next step is going to be, then we'll correct this. But for now, we'll just leave it. Doesn't really matter. Alright, there it is. So I've gone ahead and done all 4 sides. Even though the 2 back ones aren't correct, it at least gives us a bit of a better idea of what the thing is going to look like. So here, let's take a quick look around. There we are. So I might end up altering some things for sure, like I might end up changing that center pillar. We'll see. Let's kind of walk through my idea for the build. So whether this is going to be on land or in the ocean is yet to be determined, but in either case, you'd go through the center building here, and there'll surely be like a water column that'll shoot us up to the bottom of the main building. I'm thinking about like here, this could be the first floor, and then from here we could go off on either the towers to see our surroundings, or head up further into the building and see whatever else we're going to build in here, but I don't know just yet. That'll be for later. In the next episode, we'll definitely do something, but I don't know quite what just yet. I'm thinking we'll probably choose our color palette and maybe fill in one of the buildings to see what it can look like. If you guys have any ideas, then please feel free to leave those in the comments, as well as any suggestions that you may have. And if this was interesting in any ways, then please feel free to subscribe and follow me as we keep on planning this out. In any case, thank you for watching. I'll be sure to see you next time.